Hey, if you're new here, my name's Jake. Hopefully you're coming back to see the awesome progress on my game Zone. And for this third devlog, we're going to jump in and actually finish something I wanted to start last episode. Last time we discussed the idea of a sanity meter, which is obviously what it sounds like, a measurement of your mental state as you play this game and try to escape the zone. And so I decided to implement this stat on medium and high difficulties. And the score goes up and down based on different actions you take. And there are 4 levels of sanity. Obviously, neutral is what you start at the beginning of the game. If you go up in sanity points, you become more focused. If you go down in sanity points, you become disturbed. And if you fall way too low in sanity points, you go insane. So what actions are going to affect your sanity? Well, obviously, as time goes on, you're going to lose sanity points. You're in a very negative situation, being trapped in the zone without food and water. So that is going to subtract from your sanity daily. Additionally, any sort of violence or battles will subtract from your sanity. Having status effects increases the amount of sanity you lose daily. Drugs at first will boost your sanity, and then as they wear off, will take away more sanity that you gained from taking them in the first place. Now, things that you can do to raise your sanity score are trading with other people, which is more or less socializing, visiting totem poles, which kind of gives you a sense of oneness with nature, and additionally eating processed or crafted foods. I think in the last video I said it would be cool to raise the sanity if you eat things that you gathered from the earth. You know, you'd have that kind of oneness with nature. But then I thought about what would really improve your mood. Would it be like eating cattails that you took out of a riverbed, or would it be like warming up a nice cup of ramen? I'm pretty sure that like processed food is a better way to measure your increased sanity from eating. So depending on your state of sanity, there are different effects to your gameplay. Obviously, if you're at the neutral sanity level, you don't really get any benefit or negative. But if you're focused, you have a high sanity, you're going to get a buff to luck checks. And if you are disturbed, which is the first lower level, you're going to get a debuff to your luck checks. Pretty straightforward. If you reach insane, which is the lowest sanity level, that's when things start getting interesting. So I tried to get pretty creative with the different things that can happen, and I wanted to make them not obvious to the player so that there was a little bit of kind of weird stuff going on and it really kind of made you question your run. So we have things like the current location and exfil location are now unreliable. Sometimes they'll be accurate, sometimes they'll be different. The day readout is sometimes accurate and sometimes it's inaccurate. You might start to get fake messages saying that you have different status effects or there's different situations happening that aren't really happening. Things that you drop on the ground might occasionally go missing, and a few other things that I don't want to reveal. But it's a really interesting, unreliable narrator kind of effect where suddenly you're not sure what is happening and kind of what's in your head. And I think that's the perfect reflection of insanity. Overall, I'm really happy with this feature, and it's not something that's shoved in your face in the game, but it is something that will affect the overall playthrough and add a little bit of difficulty. Now, a more practical thing I added was fixing the map zoom. Previously, I talked about all the different tweens I added and how it affected the performance. I decided to simplify a couple things. Instead of scaling all of the tiles, I decided to simply cover the screen for a moment and then uncover it when the swap of the tile size was finished. This was partly performance related, and the other part was just visually the scaling was a little too much information and kind of jarring, and some of the overlapping of the outlines just didn't look very good. Additionally, I spaced the larger tiles out a little bit more and gave them kind of a rounded panel background. And I also made it so that the background scrolls rather than the player moving around and then the map scrolling when you got to the edge. Kind of a small difference, but it is a lot easier to reason about in the code. Just have the player in the center and then scroll the map behind them rather than letting them free walk around and then only scroll when they get to the edge. Another thing I noticed is that the lag between zooming in and zooming out was pretty bad, which makes sense because there's like, you know, a couple hundred tiles on the screen and suddenly zooming them all in really quickly is a lot of work. I had read on a Reddit post someone making a really big tiled world that could zoom in and zoom out, And one of the things they mentioned was using like Atlas textures, which I didn't end up doing. But another thing they mentioned was loading all of the textures at once and then using the modulation alpha to make different things visible. Instead of like loading new textures and removing textures or hiding them in the scene tree, you can just change the alpha so some things are visible and some things aren't. And so I sort of re-architected the tile scene so that the large and the small tiles were loaded at once. And then depending on the zoom state of the map, we modulate the alpha so that one is visible, one's not visible. And this actually made a really big difference. Now consistently, the swaps between the two different zoom values is really consistent and fast. The other fun kind of thing I did was I did add natural disasters. Now lightning can strike forest tiles randomly, it's a small chance, and start a fire. Additionally, if you start a campfire in a forest and then you walk away before the day ends and the campfire is out, there's a chance that that will start a forest fire. Forest fires, much like real fires, do spread, and every day there's a chance that the fire will spread to the next forest tile available closest to it, if there is one. And there's also a chance it just goes out naturally, though it's kind of small. And being inside of the tile that is on fire does damage to you for every AP you spend. The other disaster I added was floods. Similarly, tiles that have rivers where there is stormy weather have a chance to become flooded. Once a flood starts, other plains that are close to the flooded tile have a chance to also become flooded, and it can spread to all of the adjacent plain tiles. Moving through flood tiles takes twice as much AP, so it's something to kind of avoid if you can. I was able to find some shaders online for fire and floods pretty easily, and I was a little worried that it would stand out against the art that I had, so I tried playing around with the shaders a little bit. Admittedly, I'm not super good with shaders, so I was just really doing guesswork, and I considered drawing my own pixel art animations for these, but I just kind of gave up and got used to it, and overall I think it looks okay. It is a little jarring, but it doesn't look half bad, so I think these are really cool features and I'm happy that I added them. Lastly this week I just added encryption. So for encryption you have to compile Godot from source, which is not as bad as I thought it would be, and then you need to compile export templates with a certificate key that you've generated. I guess it's not really a certificate, it's just a key that you generate. I mean, from what I understand, this kind of is like a lukewarm way to secure your game. There's probably a few more steps I need to go through if I really want to secure it, but this is a step in the right direction and it probably needed to get done anyway. So this is great that I got that figured out. If you need to do it, the Godot walkthroughs are actually quite helpful and it was pretty easy to get done. Currently, I'm waiting for Steam to review my game. I had at one point said that there was a depiction of suicide in the game, and so my review got blocked until I could show them where that was happening. But upon review, there is definitely no depiction of suicide in the game. I don't know why I accidentally clicked that checkbox. So hopefully that review goes through this week and it should be cleared for release in the first week of July. I'm super excited. If the game looks fun to you or you just want to check it out, please go wishlist it. The link is in the description. If you have any comments, questions, or concern, put them down below. I'd love to hear from you. And thanks for watching. See you guys next time.